Good afternoon. Hope that everyone can hear me. This is Street Oracle Tarot coming to you with a video on a topic that has been on my mind for the longest time. I've had people ask me to discuss this, to talk about this, and it is something that I continue to see people quote and speak of in a way that, as much as they believe that they're operating in one form of belief, they're actually operating out of emotion, and that is the topic of faith. A lot of people talk about having faith, believing that things will be better for them, that things are going to turn around, that their change is going to come, that they're going to receive favor, that they're going to obtain possessions, that things are going to move for them on their behalf, and they say faith, but they're operating more out of fear. When they speak about having faith, their faith is based on they've done so much suffering that something has to change. They've gone through so many trials and tribulations that at some point things just have to get better. And it's not so much in believing that a better day is coming. It's they're believing that they've gone through so much that there's no way that a person should have to deal with so many obstacles and go through so many pitfalls and have so many shortcomings that at some point there isn't a light at the end of the tunnel. So in hearing these statements and hearing these conversations and partaking in some of these conversations, I wanted to get to the basis of what a lot of people think faith is. So let's start off with the fact that faith is not something that is predicated on what you do as far as going out and trying to make something happen. There's a very famous scripture that a lot of people like to quote, and they say faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead. The question is, what are the works that you're doing? When people say faith without works is dead, they're believing that the works that they are to do is to go out and try and make it happen. That they're to go out and try and make that job manifest, make that house, that car, that relationship manifest. And that is not the works that it is speaking of. The works that it is speaking of is you, by faith, are continuing to live your life and operate in your normal day-to-day activity, knowing that what it is that you have faith in is going to come to pass. So, for example, if you have faith that this certain house is the house that you are to have, it's not go out and try and up your credit score, try to get the money by any means necessary. It's not about going out and trying to, finesse and finagle people into, having mercy or favor on you. No. The works that you are to do is live as if that house is already yours. The faith is in you believing that that house is yours. It's that no matter what happens in your day-to-day life, no matter what comes, no matter what goes, no matter who comes in, who comes out, what money comes, what money goes, as long as you're doing what it is that you're supposed to do in belief that that house is yours, that house will come. I wrote down some scriptures in regard to statements that people make in regard to having faith and believing that in having faith that they're supposed to go out and struggle, or they're supposed to go out and hustle, that they're supposed to go through all of these formalities to exercise their faith, when faith is not based off of what you can do. Faith is based off of what you believe is to come for you. Matthew chapter 6, when Jesus was talking to the people, he made the statement of, if if the grass of the field is clothed, even though it's soon to be cut down and made into something else, doesn't God know that you have need as well? So with that being the case, the thing is that grass doesn't live hoping that it'll have chlorophyll. Grass doesn't go about saying, oh, I hope that, I can be green today. I hope I can grow. No, it just exists. And with it existing, in knowing what is needed for it, God provides. And so therefore, in the same manner, if you have faith, and this is not just for Christianity, this is for anyone that has any belief in any higher power, divine consciousness, whatever spiritual being that they ascribe themselves to believing in. If you have faith that this divine being that you say that your faith intention is toward is capable of doing all things, wouldn't they know that you need something as well? And in you needing it, that they will provide. So faith is not something that is based off of what you try to accrue. It's not based off of what you try to obtain, acquire. It's not based off of your skill set. Faith is merely based off of you within your being, within your spirit, knowing that what it is that you have need of, what it is that is required of you, what it is that you're making known that you will have, or even a promise that is made to you. There are some that don't believe in prophecies and don't believe in prophets and those who call themselves oracles or prophets or priests or whoever that will speak something into a person's life. Those things are a mix between faith and truth. I say faith because if that is something that resonates with you, then of course you're going to have faith and believe that that statement is to come to pass. But it also abides in truth, because a lot of times there are people who will speak something because they're trying to get your attention, because they're trying to get your money, because they're trying to get your energy. They're trying to get things from you. So they're going to speak things to you to get you to believe in what it is that they're saying, even though it might not be true. But time will tell if their statement is true or not. So when it comes down to things that involve prophecy or a promise, then it's a matter of faith and truth, and that truth being time, because time will tell if what they're saying is true or not. Another passage that I wrote down is in regard to when Jesus was in the boat with the disciples going across the water, and a storm arose, and they went down into the heart of the boat, and they went and got Jesus, and it's like, hey man, listen, this storm is going on outside, and like, if you don't come up and say something, we're gonna perish. And he's like, why are you worried about the storm? If you know who I am and you say you believe who I am, why are you worried about the storm? Aren't I greater than the storm? There are people who say that they have faith, and yet every single obstacle that comes into their life, they falter, they crumble, they fall apart. They have that, what they used to call in the old days, they have that mountaintop faith. They have that mountaintop praise. They can stand on the top of the mountain and, oh, nothing can shake me. I know what I believe in. I know where my faith lies and everything else under the sun. But then when they come down into the valley, when they come down and they have those wilderness experiences, that faith is gone. And that's where you know if somebody has faith. It's not by what it is that you say when everything is going good for you. The question is, what are you saying when things are going rough? What are you saying when things are going bad? What are you saying when what it is that you thought that you were supposed to have doesn't come to pass? I remember Personally, in my life, there was a house that I had written down. I mean, I wrote that house down. I've been to that house about 3 times. I walked through it, did the open house, did the tour. Real estate agent, met me personally one day, and we just walked through the house, and I was like, I know this is mine. I know this house is mine. I know it. I feel it. I believe it. I know it's mine. And then a few months later, that house was sold. Faith is, in the event something does not turn out how you expect, knowing that the promise is still there. Believing that the promise is still there. Operating as if the promise is still there. Because it might not be what you saw with your eyes, and we're going to get to that in a moment. It might not be what you saw in your eyes, but it's about what you believe in your heart. Yeah, that house is gone. And I was like, man, I had every intention. I knew what every room was going to look like. I knew what everything in that house was going to be. I knew what I was going to do in the kitchen. I knew what the yard was going to look like. I knew everything about that house. And when that house was sold, I was like, man, I can't believe this. I just knew that house was mine. But then, during meditation, I heard Spirit say, you saw what that house would be according to what you wanted it to be. But did that house really resonate with what it is that you're going to do? Because there are things that I planned on doing. There's businesses that I am working on that I just knew that some of the rooms I'd be able to set up as offices, that there were some things that I'd be able to just strategically do and place around the house to make it to where I'm able to operate and move accordingly. But going back, looking at that house, I looked at the house, and from what I saw, it was fantastic. But according to the plan, it was not going to work. See, faith not only operates off of what it is you need now, but it also works on what it will be in the future. Some people think that they're supposed to have these things and they just know that if they work hard enough, they're going to get it. But the question is, after you get it, what happens then? There are people who say that they want the fancy car because they know that with that car they can say that, yeah, I got this car and God blessed me with this car, but you can't even take care of the car that you have now. So if you were to be blessed with this expensive, extravagant car, would you be able to take care of it then? Because the thing is that once you get it, now the question is, who are you afterwards? And some people lose their minds after they get things because they're not prepared for it. They're not ready for it. They ask for things, but they don't know what it takes to have those things. And so they put themselves in a place of, I got it, so now I can move on. It's kind of like a kid where, parents, they go out and they get all of these toys for the children, and they just know that the children are going to enjoy every single toy that they get for their birthday and for Christmas. And 3 months' time, those toys, those games, they're sitting in the corner. It was great for the moment, but it didn't mean anything after a while. The thrill wore off. So are you looking for things because of the thrill? Because if you're looking for things because of the thrill, then it's not something that you need. And because it's not something that you need, and it'll be a waste, there's kind of no need to give it to you. Now, I know there are going to be some who say, well, what about the the billionaires and the rich folk and the celebrities who have all of these things. And you have to understand that the faith that they have is they know what they want out of life. They know where they want to be in life. And because they know where they want to be in life, what they want to have in life, how they want to live their life, the faith that they have in knowing that that's the life that they're supposed to live opens the door for what it is to bring that to pass to open. See, and that goes back to what I was saying before about faith without works is dead. It's not about what you do to say that you have faith. Faith operates in there's a promise that is made. And on that promise, if you believe in the promise, then what is needed to make that promise come to pass in your life, it will be provided to you. All you have to do is work your daily life as if you know the promise is true. There's a scripture about a daughter who was sick, and the mother came to Jesus and she was like, I know that you can heal my daughter. I just need you to just heal my daughter. If you can't come, just say the word. I know she'll be healed. And he said, you know what? Because of your faith, she's healed right now. When you get back home, she's going to be healed. And she believed that. Now, notice how she didn't bring the daughter. And she was like, yeah, you got to do this in front of me because then I'll know. If you don't do it, then I know you ain't real. No, she was like, I know that you are real and that you're capable of doing it. So even though my daughter is not here, I know that if you speak the word, she'll be healed right now. That's how faith operates. Faith is, even though right now I can't see it, I know it's supposed to be so. And I know that as I continue on in my life, at some point, it's gonna happen. It's not a pessimistic, well, if it didn't happen today, it'll happen one day, and, maybe today is not the day. No. Faith is, it's gonna happen. Doesn't matter when it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. And if you don't live with that mindset of how faith operates, you will spend your life trying to prove that you have faith by working yourself to the bone, working yourself to death, scraping, scrounging, as the songs say, scratching and surviving, hanging in the chow line. You're going to be going through all of those motions trying to prove that you have faith when you don't have faith. You're operating out of fear. There's a scripture that says, for we walk by faith, not by sight. That's where it comes down to. If you can see it, there's no need to have faith. There's no need to have hope. There's a scripture that says that. If you can see it, what reason is there for hope? If you can see that car that is outside, if you can see that tree that's outside, if you can see something already there, what reason is there for hope? Because it's already there. You see it. The hope that is made manifest is, I don't see it in my possession. I don't see it in my life. I don't see it in my present state. but I know it's coming. Not only do I know it's coming, I know that it is mine. I know that it is here. It's not here physically in my presence, but I know that it's here. And that is why so many people who say they have faith always stay in points of confusion, anxiety, frustration, depression, fear, hopelessness, because they're saying that they have faith. But instead of having faith in believing that something is, they're crying and frustrated because they're focused on what isn't. And it doesn't help you. It's not going to help you. There's a scripture that is used, and I've used this scripture to try and explain to people how faith operates. Because again, everybody loves that quote, faith without works is dead. And I asked them, what works are they exactly talking about? And they talk about how they try to make something happen, how, they're putting forth their best effort in trying to push things forward and try to open a door and try to make opportunities happen. And my question to them is, if you're trying to make it happen, what faith do you have? Because you're trying to make something happen physically that you say your faith energetically, spiritually, supernaturally, that your faith is supposed to be doing for you. They don't work together like that. And the scripture that I, point out to them is Ephesians chapter 2, 8 and 9. It says, by grace are you saved through faith, not of yourself. Not of yourself. It's a gift of God. Not by works, lest any man should boast. See, there are things that people say, and they're spending so much time trying to quote these things out to themselves to make themselves feel like because they know something, or because they've heard something, or because they're able to repeat something, that makes it work for them. And the thing is that if you don't have a right understanding of how things work, all you're doing is repeating, and all you're doing is shuffling. See, faith is not about what you do. Faith is about what you believe. Because if it was by you, then that's something that you can boast on. I made this happen. I got this. I did that. That's not how faith operates. Faith is you believing outside of yourself that there is something working on your behalf to give to you what it is that you need, to bring to you what it is that you want, to send to you that thing that you've asked for. That's what faith is. So if you're out there trying to make it happen, that's not faith. That's not faith. No matter how much people try to say, that they got to put their work with their faith, that's not faith. Because you're so busy trying to make it happen that when things don't work out the way that you want them to, when you have your plan set in motion and it doesn't work out, you fall apart. You feel defeated. You feel lost. You're trying to figure out how it is you did all of these things. I know I did the right thing. I did everything. I lined everything up. I had it all planned out. I had it all mapped out. This was supposed to work. Why didn't it work? Because it's you. It's not faith. It's you. You try to make something happen on your accord to then try and turn around and tell other people, look what God did for me. There's so many people who, generation to generation, keep on going with that. I know a change is going to come. I know a change is going to come. I I know a change is going to come. Ask them what the change is. They don't know. And I'm not saying that to be funny. It's the truth. They don't know what the change is. All they say is it's going to get better one day, someday. It might not be in my lifetime, but it's going to get better one day. That's not faith. That's not faith. Faith is knowing what is to come, whether you know how it's going to come about or not. That's what it is. There's a scripture in Hebrew that says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The substance of things hoped for. I don't know how my change is going to come, but I know that before I leave this earth, I will be debt-free. I will have a happy life. I will have a happy home. I will have a happy family. I'll be able to travel on my own accord. I'll be able to finance any trip that I want to go on. I don't know how it's going to happen. I just know that is the life that I am to live. That's faith. You see what it is that's to come. You see what it is that's to be. You don't know how it's going to happen, but you know and you hold in your heart and believe that that is what it is that is supposed to be in your life. Now, how do I go about doing that? I live my life as if I'm already capable of doing it. I live my life as if it's already happening. Now, this is where accountability and responsibility comes in. Because if I'm believing that my life is going to be a life of travel and leisure, then I need to be accountable to myself in my actions, and I need to be responsible in the things that I do. Because there's no way in the world that I'm going to be able to travel outside of the country and I'm doing everything that would dismiss me being able to get a passport. Case in point, I've always said that I wanted to leave the country. I've always said that I wanted to leave the country. And in the midst, well, not in the midst, because it was the first year of the pandemic. In the beginning of the pandemic, I got my passport. In 2020, I got my passport. For decades, I've said that I've wanted to get a chance to get outside of the country. But in 2020, I finally got my passport. In 2023, last year, for the first time in my life, I left the country. That's how faith works. I said that I wanted to be able to leave out of the country. I knew one day I was going to leave out of the country. Didn't know what country I was going to. I just knew one day I was going to be outside of this country. And then the opportunity presented itself. I finally got a passport. And I said, I got a passport, so I know that I'm going to be leaving out the country. I got a 10-year window. Passport lasts 10 years. So I'm like, I got this passport in 2020. By 2030, I'm going to have a stamp in this passport book. 3 years later, I'm in Canada. I know some of you are going to be like, Canada ain't nothing. That's like a New York suburb. But it's still out the country. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew that I was getting out this country. Somehow, some way, somewhere. And I did. That's how faith operates. That's what faith is. That's the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But when you put in so much emphasis on what you see, your faith is never going to kick in. It's never going to kick in because you're operating off of sight instead of walking by faith. The first chapter of James talks about faith. The first 7 verses talks about faith. And it speaks of letting faith by patience have its perfect work. But it says, let any man that lacks faith ask for wisdom. That wisdom is going to give you understanding of how things operate. And in your wisdom, as you grow, as your faith develops, understand that when you ask for something, don't ask wavering. It literally says, when you ask in faith, nothing wavering. And let no one that is wavering think that he'll have anything. That's what I was talking about earlier when I said there are people who have that mountaintop faith. When everything is going good for them, they got faith in everything. Oh yeah, I believe it's going to come to pass. I believe it's going to happen. I believe I'm going to get that job. I believe I'm going to get this car. I'm going to believe that I'm going to do this. I'm going to do all that. I'm going to have all of these things. I'm going to be able to do all of these things because everything is going good. But when things start to get rocky, they lose it. Now they don't know. They don't know what they believe in. They don't know where they stand. They don't know who they are. They don't know what's going on. They know nothing. They don't know what to believe in. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know. And they don't even pray to whoever they pray to. And then when they finally do get a mind to pray, I don't know what's going on, but if, there's no if in faith. I mean, there's an I and an F, but there's no if in faith. It's when. If you can just see me through, no. Faith is when you see me through. There's no if I'm not healed, then I guess it wasn't meant for me to be healed. No. It's when I'm healed or when I'm no longer dealing with this illness, I know that I'll have peace. Whether the healing comes or whether I'm taken out of this pain, I know I won't suffer anymore. We have to stop using faith in a sense of fear until something happens. Because that's how it's pushed. That's how faith is pushed. Struggle until something changes. Hustle until your exchange comes. That's not faith. You're hurting yourself. And people who are telling that message are hurting you. And I can pretty much guarantee you that a lot of those who preach that type of message are the ones who capitalize on your fear. They're like energy vampires. They want you to believe that if you just keep coming back to me in spite of everything that's going on, and I'll give you a word, or I'll give you a message, or I give you a product, or I give you a book, and at some point we're going to get through this. They're not teaching you what faith is. They're not even giving you faith. They're taking your energy and capitalizing on it. which is why you're in the same state that you have been in all of this time. And you have seasonal moments of success. You have seasonal moments of opportunity and grace and favor, because you're not operating in faith, and they're not teaching you and showing you how to operate in faith. They're teaching you how to live in a state of lack and fear, keeping you in a place of doubt. Even prosperity preachers are pie in the sky preachers, because for the most part, they're telling you to believe in something without telling you how to live your life and how to be accountable, responsible, and present in your life to be able to see your faith come into play. You know, there's the law of manifestation that some of them speak of, which makes sense if you have faith, but it's not working, because a part of having faith is understanding that even though your physical state is saying that you might not be worthy or deserving or available for what it is that you are believing in, it's your inner knowing that in spite of whatever is going on, I deserve this. I deserve this. I deserve that healing. I deserve that peace. I deserve that love. I deserve that comfort. I deserve that trust. I deserve, all of the things that would help me to have a peaceful life. I deserve that. Not saying that nothing will ever happen in life, but I deserve to have the life where I know that in spite of everything that is going on, I am going to make it. Because in the end, that's all it's about. Making it. There's a song by a group called Casting Crowns Casting Crowns, where it's called Thrive. And in the chorus they say, we're not made to just survive. We're here to thrive. Faith is not going to have you in a state of survival. It's not. Fear has you operating in a state of survival. That's where you're conditioned to live at. That's where you're conditioned to be at. Survival is, I'm going to go and get this job. I'm going to put in my 35, 40 years and get to retirement. And hopefully when I retire, Social Security is going to still be around, and I'll be able to enjoy the grandkids if I have grandkids, and maybe be able to go and have that vacation that I've wanted for all of these years. That's survival. And even in the spiritual realm, that's how a lot of people live. If I just tough it out long enough, at some point I'm going to be able to have that golden ray of sunshine moment. Why can you not have it in this present life? What makes you think you're not worthy and deserving of it? If you don't believe that you're worthy and deserving of good things, and actually live like you are worthy and deserving of good things, you will not have good things. That's it, plain and simple. That's it. That's literally how faith operates. If you don't believe that in spite of whatever your circumstance is, that there is a change that is going to happen in your life, the change will never come. If you don't stand with assurance in your heart of the change that you want to see in your life, It's never going to come. Because you don't know what you're asking for. And what parent gives to a child something that the child doesn't even know what they're asking for? That's like going into a toy store and the child is like, "Oh, Mom, Dad, can I have and they just walk through the whole store. What do you want? Do you know what it is? After a while, they can be like, yeah, let's go. Let's go until you figure it out. That's how many people live saying that they have faith. That's how many people live saying that they have that hope for a better tomorrow. What is the tomorrow that you're hoping for? They can't say. They can't say. Part of the reason why they can't say is because the moment they start to talk anything good, they follow it up with something bad. You know, I would love to live in a nice neighborhood. I mean, I don't want it to be like too nice, because I don't want it to be like I don't want anybody to come to the house, and I don't want it to be where I have neighbors that are looking at me wondering why I'm in the neighborhood. No. Mm-mm. Now you just disqualified yourself. You know, I would love to have a nice car that I could go ahead and I could take trips in, but I don't want it to be too much, because I don't want people to think that I'm trying to like show off. And now you just disqualified yourself. So what do you want? Where does your faith lie? What do you have faith in? And what is it that you call yourself doing as your works for what it is that you have faith in? I guarantee, once you understand what faith is, and you understand what the works are that are to go with that faith, the peace that you will have will be different than any peace you've ever had before. Because the thing about faith is, true faith is unshakable. True faith is unwavering. True faith is unmovable. True faith is in spite of what is going on right now, because I know that this is what my life is supposed to be like. Even if I lose the job, I know that something is going to come to take care of me. Even if I lose my car, I know that some way is going to be made for me to get to where I need to go. Even though I may lose my house, I know that the place that is lined up for me is going to be better for me. Not saying that things won't happen, but it's because I know what it is that I'm to have, who it is that I am. No matter what comes, my promise is still going to come to pass. So that's what it is that I wanted to talk to you about. Where is your faith? What is your faith? What are your works for your faith? And are those works really faith or fear? Love and blessings to you all.